Holiday, this is questionable. You have answers for tonight?
We'll see.
Okay. Secondly, how are you able to do any on-court preparation for this game at all? Like any walkthrough, anything to that? How are you gripping with that?
It's not ideal, but it's where we are. You come out of All-Star break with a back-to-back, which I think is humorous. But I don't want to take away from our normal rhythm at this point in the season. If this was a playoff series, we probably would have. But we'll go through an in-depth look at Utah today just because they're more than worthy of that. They run a ton of pick and rolls. And so that's going to challenge our defense, and the way they run them is a lot different because you have two guys that run, 50, 60 pick and rolls a game, but they run it with three different guys just because O'Neal is in a small portion of those pick and rolls. So we'll go through a number of clips today and talk about, who they are and what they do. But it's not ideal just because of the early game. If we would have had a later game, then it would have been different, but it is what it is.
What have you seen from the Jazz lately? They've won 7 of their last 8 and are healthier than the last time.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the pick and rolls, that's what they do. And, Donovan's ability to shoot off the dribble is something that you don't talk about a lot. You tend to talk about that with Lillard and Steph, but he's just as good and in timely situations. And so being able to, give him different looks and, hopefully force him to miss some shots. And then their defense, when they're in pick and roll coverages, they have 2 elite rim protectors. And so we got to get stopped so we can get out and run and put some pressure on their defense and stress them out a bit. And that typically happens for us when we get stops.
You mentioned the other day about the spacing being a little bit off when they were blitzing.
Sure.
And not having guys lift. Is that just a matter of where guys are on the court or kind of what they do with the ball when it comes to that?
It's both. It's knowing what's coming and getting ahead of the storm. I didn't think we did a good job of reading what New Orleans was doing. There were times where they blitzed. There were times where they were in coverage. And typically we picked that up pretty quickly. And again, we typically have another ball handler on the floor. So Book's not in that situation time and time again. The other night, it was him all night. And so that put us in some tough spots. So I think we'll be in a much better position tonight, again, after we go through some in-depth clips before the game.
Go back with Donovan on the pick and roll.
Mm-hmm.
He's jumped from the league to number 1.
Yeah.
Efficiency. Maybe you just touched on, but what are you seeing in him that's made him allowed him to jump from that?
I mean, one, they space the floor well with, really good shooters. O'Neal's been a guy that's improved his shooting in the slot. Typically you want to force teams. If you're going to give up a 3, it's a slot 3. He can knock that shot down, but they have great screeners. When those guys screen, they tend to hold the screen, and that frees up guys like Donovan to get downhill or create space for the shots. I think we went through a phase in the NBA where more bigs were slipping screens. And if you're a decent pick and roll, coverage team, you can get into the ball the way that Rudy sets screens. He can lay wood on you and hold that screen. So you really have to get into the ball to get back to Donovan if he's not going downhill. And he's just a good player. I mean, he's an elite player.
Teams have switched them, I think, now more than any other.
Sure.
Is that in your DNA naturally defensively to play that switching style? Or would
You think I'm going to tell you right now?
Well, no, I didn't mean it specifically.
Yeah.
Certain teams like
Yeah.
Rockets teams, that's just what they were going to do.
Yeah.
Instinct on you is that you haven't switched a great deal.
No, I think you have to change it up some. We've seen teams do that to Utah. I don't think it's necessarily has a lot to do with the ball. I think because most teams are low volume post-up teams, that it allows for you to read more, switch more. You know, back in the day, if you switched in that environment, teams would take you right to the block and punish you. Most teams in the NBA don't do that. So I think that's more of the reason why you could. We could find ourselves in that environment tonight as a concept, just because you can't give great players the same look. And if you blitz them all night, they'll pick you apart. If you stay in, drop coverage, they'll do the same. And so, it leads you to think about doing something like that. And we've seen teams do that to Utah.
Were the shot quality numbers from Friday where you normally like to see it?
Yeah, I thought they were okay. We missed a ton on the backside. We had some, they weren't at the break threes or corner threes, but kind of in between that were wide open the other day. We just couldn't knock them down. Maybe it was the back-to-back, maybe it was the contest, the late contest, and maybe we just missed. But I wasn't upset at all at the shot quality. What I didn't like was the late clock opportunities that we had. We had way too many of those. So I think we got to get to those shots a lot quicker.
You talked about not wanting to put Bogut in a position where he has to bail you guys out. Was that what you were seeing, him getting the ball with like 98 seconds left on the shot clock?
Yeah, I mean, there were times where we had a shot, didn't take the shot, and then we throw it to him, and it was like save the day. It's like take the shot. We had a number of timeouts the other day where we had to tell guys, like, when that shot presents itself, you got to knock it down, take it. I thought we were a bit hesitant. And even in OKC, I was talking to Cam like, dude, you could have, whatever, just take the shot. We're always on Cam about shooting the ball. He's trying to make the right play or be unselfish. And it's like, well, the right play is for you to take the shot. So take it.
The offensive rebounds for New Orleans more timeouts.
No, it was Will. That was them. There were too many possessions where we didn't hit a body first. We forced a miss, and Valanciunas and Hayes were up under the basket, taking advantage of our, lack of hitting them first. We got to be much better tonight against, maybe bigger guys.
When you look at Jay since Chris has been out, has it been seems like he handles the ball a little bit more. He's actually going to the rim a little bit more. Is that something that he's been doing before Chris got hurt, or am I just noticing it now with Chris being?
Yeah, no, there have been teams that have tried to take Chris out and will facilitate with Jay. It may be more glaring now just because you don't have Chris on the second side, that kind of thing. And he's the one thing we talked to him about, maybe 30 games ago was, he catches on the second side and teams are running him off the line, like go in there and finish. And I think he's done a really good job this year of getting to his floater. He has that ability to draw a foul for whatever reason, the way he shoots his floater or his three, like people just run into him. So I think we've seen that, everything's more glaring with, or more noticeable without Chris, I think.
Come back to 3 games in 4 days and finding conditioning after the All-Star break, including back-to-back?
Could be, I think when you play this many games right out of the gate, you're going to get back into game shape. So that could be a benefit for us. There's a benefit to having a long All-Star break, but there's also, the simple fact that guys don't do a lot and it takes a minute to get back into 5-on-5 NBA shape. So I think this is going to benefit us more than anybody.
Thanks, Phil.
Thank you.
Thank you.